Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about the 538 forecast for the 2020 presidential election between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. So this is the 538 forecast. This is one of my favorite forecasts to use. I think they do a very good job at plotting out and showing you their data. So looking down here, these are the current chances that they give for Joe Biden and Donald Trump of winning the election. They currently give Joe Biden a 76% chance of winning the 2020 presidential election, and Donald Trump just a 24% chance of winning his re-election. So basically, they plotted out a lot of their simulations or their outcomes. Their sample of 100 outcomes basically gives you an idea of the range of scenarios. So as you can see, the best case scenario for Joe Biden, 498 electoral votes. That's not going to happen. So it's all the way on the right. And then honestly, I think that we're going to see something around this area right here, between 330 or 320 and 360 in my opinion for Joe Biden, because there's a lot of close states that Biden could win and put him up to 360. So if Biden wins in a lot of those key really close races, he could definitely go up to 360. But if he loses by a very small margin in those races, which I think it's a larger chance of him losing in those races than him winning in states like Ohio, Georgia, and then Florida. Not Florida, but like Florida, not too good of a chance for him right now, but I think that he has a larger chance of winning, not winning those states than he does of winning. So around a 330 would be my average right now. And then Donald Trump, of course, less winning scenarios for the president right now. Only 24 out of the 100 scenarios they have plotted out here. And then this is kind of like the same graph. I think basically this is the same chart, just inverted for Trump and Biden. Of course, there's so many more Biden winning scenarios than there are for President Trump. Basically, they're graphing out all 40,000 of their simulations. So these bars just represent simulations, and the more of these that there are, the higher chance of this occurring. So the highest one is here with Biden winning 400 electoral votes. So another very good sign for the former vice president. And then this is what they call their winding path victory. This is basically the snake chart that they like to use. I think it does do a good job at showing the information. So looking at this graph here, basically this shows which states that Joe Biden actually needs to win. He does not need Arizona. He does not need the 2nd District of Nebraska. He does not need Florida, and he does not need North Carolina. And I like how they do give the percentages down there now. So they give the forecasted vote share that they expect before you have to click on the state, but I like this. So Pennsylvania, they expect Joe Biden to win by around 4%. The state of Wisconsin, in a larger margin, surprisingly, by around 6-7%. Minnesota, they expect him to win by 7%. And then Michigan, they expect an almost 8-point victory for Joe Biden. And what's surprising is that Michigan, a state that went to the GOP in 2016, is now all the way down in this graph. So these states are all more likely to go to Donald Trump than Michigan. Donald Trump has a larger chance of winning with New Hampshire, Nevada, and Minnesota, 3 states that Hillary Clinton won in 2016, than the state of Michigan. So I think that is just pretty surprising to see how Michigan is so far down in this graph. Pennsylvania would be the tipping point state on this graph. Pennsylvania would give Joe Biden the 270 electoral votes that he needs. So all of these states pass this line, except for Pennsylvania, he does not need. So if he wins, if he flips Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, Joe Biden will win the election. And then Donald Trump is still projected to win Iowa, Texas, Georgia, and Ohio. I want to take a closer look at some of these states. First, with the state of North Carolina, Joe Biden, they currently give him a 54% chance of winning the state of North Carolina. This is not a state that he needs. And as you can see, Joe Biden is expecting to win the state by only 0.6 of 1 percentage point. So North Carolina, very close race here. As you can see, the polls in the state of North Carolina are very close. So definitely North Carolina is a pure toss-up at this point. And next, I want to take a look at the state of Texas, 38 electoral votes. Texas is a very important state for Donald Trump. Donald Trump cannot win the election without Texas. If he loses Texas, he won't have the electoral votes that he needs to win the state. And I think that right now it might actually just be a lean margin in Texas, just because of the mail-in voting and how Texas is not as easy to vote by mail in Texas than it is in other states. And as you can see, Trump's chances of winning here have decreased in the last couple of weeks after the Republican National Convention. As you can see, they basically peaked right after the RNC, and then since then they have dropped all the way down. He was up at 78%, now he's at 68%, and the popular vote margin has also decreased around 4%, a little less than 4% for Joe Biden, in favor of Trump right now. And then looking at the polls here, so Trump has been doing pretty well. Not pretty well. This is not good for Trump, but he's been doing relatively better. As you can see, Joe Biden was able to lead in 3 polls in a row by 3%, 1%, and 2%. These are all B-rated pollsters, so not too bad. And then the 3 newer polls, Trump leads in them, and then they're even in 1 poll. So this is not even saying that Joe Biden needs. I don't think Joe Biden should really put effort into Texas. If he wants a landslide, then sure. But Joe Biden does not need a landslide, and I don't think he should be trying to get a landslide. Because instead of being like Hillary Clinton, I think Joe Biden should spend more time in the states that he needs, like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, and not just totally neglect those states. Because if Hillary Clinton was able to win not even all of the third-party votes in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, she would have won the election. So, and Hillary Clinton did not visit the state of Wisconsin for the last 5 months until the election. The last time she visited Wisconsin in 2016 was all the way in June. So instead of neglecting these states like Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden should focus on these states, and instead of trying to, make gains in states that he's not going to win. So he will do very well in Texas for a Democrat, but he's not going to win the state in 2020. And then Georgia, I also want to take a look at this: 66% in favor of the president, 34% in favor of the former vice president. Joe Biden really not improving here too much. Of course, his peak was in June and July. However, it has, of course, gotten better for the president. As you can see, Trump led by 7 points in 1 poll, but Biden still is leading in polls. So this is not too great for Donald Trump, just because these are traditionally solid Republican states. Texas was solid in 2012, and now it's become a toss-up state. And then Iowa, I also want to take a look at this: 67 for Trump, 33 for Biden. And Iowa really not ever expected to go to the president, but Iowa is definitely much closer than it was in 2016. In 2016, Trump won this state by 9%. Now he barely leads in the state with a tilt margin. And then Ohio, I think Ohio is going to be probably one of the closest states on election night besides North Carolina. I think North Carolina is honestly going to be the closest state, but the state of Ohio, still in favor of Trump, 55% for the president, 45% for the former vice president. As you can see, Joe Biden was expected to win the election in Ohio at one point. Joe Biden was leading over Donald Trump in the percentage chance of winning, as well as expected popular vote. In June, at Joe Biden's peak, he was expected to flip a state that went to Donald Trump by 8% in 2016. Since then, of course, you can see the RNC did go up for Donald Trump for quite a while. However, it has dipped down. He's only expected to win by 1 point right now. And then looking at this is quite alarming. Rasmussen reports currently polled Joe Biden +4. They're one of the most right-leaning pollsters in the entire country. This is one of President Trump's favorite pollsters, just because they always inflate Donald Trump's numbers. But according to this poll here, it might be a C+ rated pollster, but that is only because Donald Trump is, the pollster is very biased towards the president. Biden leads by 7 points. 4 points in this poll. Sorry about that. But Biden leads by 4 points in a poll from Rasmussen reports. So that's definitely a good sign for, the former vice president. And then these morning consult polls, these don't really matter. Some of them are quite old, and then they're even one. Biden leads in one, and then some old ones. So Ohio not looking too great for Joe Biden, and Donald Trump is probably going to outperform the polls in most of these states. He's probably going to outperform in Iowa, Texas, Georgia, Ohio, not North Carolina. I don't think he's going to outperform his numbers in North Carolina, but Florida, not his numbers in 2016, just the average polling, because I think that a lot more Republicans are going to turn out for Donald Trump than Democrats, just because of the whole vote by mail thing in a lot of these states and how it's hard to do. And Arizona, I want to take a look at this race. Arizona basically is not really too close anymore. Arizona might have been a pretty solid Republican state for the last 2 decades, but now I think it's definitely going to flip. Mark Kelly is expected to win his Arizona Senate race against Martha McSally by over 10 points, maybe even 15 points if it's a good night for him. And Joe Biden, as you can see, he has a 67% chance of winning. The last time we talked about this state, he had a 52% chance of winning. The popular vote margin, he is expected to win with a lean margin in the state of Arizona. And looking at all of these polls, Joe Biden leads in every single poll out of the state of Arizona. In every single poll, Joe Biden is ahead of the president. He led by 10 points in one poll and 9 points in a Fox News poll. This is an A- rated pollster by FiveThirtyEight, and Joe Biden leads by 9 points. And of course, Fox News is, very right-leaning, but I don't think their polls really affect this too much. But still, 9 points by an A- rated pollster in Arizona, a state that went to Trump by 4% in 2016, is now polling in favor of Joe Biden in every single poll. So definitely good sign for Joe Biden right here. And so if you want to take a look at this for yourself, there's some more math down here that helps you explain those numbers and what they mean. And one more thing I want to take a look at is the state of Florida. Florida, I honestly think one of the most interesting races here in Florida. 61% chance of going to Joe Biden, 39 for the president. And as you can see, the chances of winning here. Basically, what this all shows is that Donald Trump was in his lowest ever in June and July. His numbers did increase steadily, and then his numbers did increase after the RNC, but they have all dipped back down. And popular vote expected to win by 2% in Florida. I think that's a pretty good number. I think that no matter how large of a margin Joe Biden leads over Donald Trump in Florida, I think he's going to win by a very small margin. Florida is always very close. So even if he led by 6 points, I would still think it's pretty likely to be a tilt margin because Florida is always very close. It's always one of the closest states. And then looking at the polls, another good sign for the former vice president. +3, 3.5, 3.2. Not the leads that he once had in around June and July, but still very good considering it's the state of Florida. Hillary Clinton was losing in Florida at this point, but Donald Trump is not. So that is, not Donald Trump, Joe Biden is not. But this is all very good sign for the former vice president. I think that he's definitely going to carry the state of Florida at this point in time, just because a lot of the comments that Trump has been making, I think, are really hurting his campaign. And so, yeah, that is the winding path to victory for both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Definitely check this out for yourself, and if you want to take a closer look at some of these states on your own. And then looking at how this forecast has changed. As you can see, 76% chance of Joe Biden victory right now. Last time we took a look at this on the 31st of August, only 67%. So definitely an uptick for Joe Biden. And then the average electoral vote count, 329 right now for Joe Biden. That is mirroring Barack Obama's 2012 margin over Mitt Romney. So that would be a pretty solid victory for the former vice president. I think that anything over 320 electoral votes would be good for Joe Biden right now, because I think that if some states were not to go to Joe Biden, or if his margin was not that large, I think that President Trump would definitely call voter fraud, and I think that there would definitely be a huge investigation on all of this if, just because if Trump were to lose this election, because of the whole vote by mail, I think he could definitely call, fraud and just things that are happening, but that's not going to happen. The chances of voter fraud because of mail-in ballots are so low that they don't affect the results ever. And then looking at the popular vote average, Joe Biden 52.7%, and then Donald Trump 46%. So Biden will win the popular vote by 6.7% according to the FiveThirtyEight forecast, which is around 3 times the margin that Hillary Clinton had in 2016. And then lastly, they basically plot out some of the weirder margins. So Trump has a 14% chance of winning the popular vote. I think this is pretty interesting to take a look at. Biden has, of course, an 86% chance of winning that popular vote. Donald Trump has a 10% chance of winning over 50% of the popular vote. And Biden has an over 81% chance of winning over 50% of the popular vote. So 50% would make it a majority, and then less than 50 would make it a plurality if he were to win. Sorry about that. Hillary Clinton did not win a majority. She only won a plurality in 2016. So she won around 48% of the vote to Donald Trump with 46%. So, Joe Biden, 81% chance of winning a majority. So definitely good for him. Trump wins in a landslide. That's not going to happen. Biden wins in a landslide, 30 in 100. It's really not too large of a chance. And then Donald Trump wins the popular vote but loses the Electoral College. That's almost not going to happen. And then Biden wins the popular vote but loses the Electoral College. This is what happened to Hillary Clinton in 2016. So 11 in 100 of that occurring this time around. No one wins the Electoral College. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be a tie. And then Trump wins at least one state that Clinton won in 2016, 39 and 100. I don't think that's too likely. But Biden wins one state that Trump won in 2016, 90% chance that Joe Biden is going to flip at least one state. And then these are the other two. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like on this video as well as subscribing to my channel. And so this was the 538 forecast. Leave your thoughts in the comments below along with any video suggestions you'd like to see from me in the future. And I will see you in the next video.